Okay, so let's dive into this really unsettling case from Dover, Massachusetts. The Kamal family murders.
Yeah.
You sent us a ton of articles, even video transcripts, so it
Yeah.
seems like you want to really get to the bottom of this one, go beyond the headlines.
Yeah.
And, well, you've come to the right place. That's what we're doing today.
Absolutely.
We're diving deep into what happened, what led to this awful tragedy.
Yeah.
And we'll be examining the family's struggles, the things they kept hidden,
Right.
and all the events that led up to the deaths that shocked this seemingly, like, perfect community.
Yeah, and what's so interesting about this case is how it sort of peels back the layers of this picture-perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the surface, the Kamals, they had it all.
They did.
A 21-bedroom mansion.
Yeah.
Connections to Harvard.
Right.
I mean, their daughter, Ariana, she was going to Middlebury. But, like, we're going to see that image of success, it can be a dangerous facade.
It's true. It's almost like, a real-life version of Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Right.
But, like, taken to this awful, tragic extreme.
It really is.
So let's start with some of the financial red flags that were popping up. Months before the murders, the Kamals filed for bankruptcy.
Right.
And we also know that Rakesh, the father, he had borrowed a significant amount of money from his family.
And that bankruptcy filing, that's really important. It was Chapter 13, which means they tried to set up a plan to repay their debts, and they couldn't. It didn't work.
Wow.
So this wasn't just like a small thing,
Right.
This suggests a much deeper, more serious problem with their finances.
Oh, so they were really in over their heads.
Yeah.
What does that kind of pressure do to a person,
Right.
Especially when they're trying so hard to keep up this image that everything's fine.
Yeah, it can create this, like what we call the financial fragility trap,
Mm-hmm.
where people who are in a lot of debt, they overspend to keep up appearances,
Right.
which just digs them deeper and deeper into the hole.
Oh, absolutely.
And in a wealthy community like Dover, I mean, the pressure to keep up, it's huge.
It's immense. It's heartbreaking because they were even, like, considering building a $6.5 million house in Tennessee.
And they actually went and toured this mansion.
I know.
So imagine trying to keep up that facade
Oh, my God.
while you're facing eviction from your current house. The shame, the desperation,
It's a lot.
it's a recipe for disaster.
Speaking of the mansion, it's a pretty central part of the timeline leading up to the murders. The Kamals bought it in 2019,
Right,
mostly with borrowed money, as we've said.
right.
And it wasn't long until they started missing those mortgage payments and that debt. It just kept growing.
Yeah, and foreclosure is never easy. But in a place like Dover, your home is a direct reflection of your status.
Absolutely.
So it can be completely devastating. Imagine that humiliation weighing on Rakesh
Right.
as that eviction date gets closer and closer.
Yeah.
It's like he's backed into a corner.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Just days before the murders, Rakesh changes the beneficiary on Tina's life insurance policy.
Right.
$1.25 million policy, by the way, to his brother, the same brother he owed money to.
And that's a huge red flag. Changing a beneficiary, I mean, that's unusual in any case.
Right.
But do it so close to, well, to such a horrible event, it makes you question everything. Like, was this premeditated?
Yeah.
And what was his motive?
So not only is he potentially facing financial ruin, public humiliation, but now you've got this life insurance policy change. This is really strange.
The plot definitely thickens here.
It does.
And remember, he borrowed that money from his brother.
Yeah.
This change, it puts the brother in a really difficult position. Adds a whole other layer to this thing.
It's a mess, a total mess.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there. I mean, in the days before the murders, Rakesh starts making up this whole story.
Yeah.
About Tina and Ariana, about them being in the hospital
Oh, yeah.
because of a shellfish allergy.
He even texted Ariana's boyfriend,
Right.
told him not to visit, like he was trying to isolate them or something, control everything, even right up to the end.
Yeah, exactly. It really makes you think about premeditation,
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing.
Yeah.
And then there's the note.
The note,
Okay.
found in the Kamal home, December 28th,
Right.
the same day they were supposed to be evicted. Can you tell me more about the note? What's the significance of that?
It's like a puzzle piece that just doesn't fit. It was typed up, printed out, left for anyone who came in the house.
Wow.
Even told them to call the police.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like he wanted to create this whole scene. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
To control how the tragedy was discovered.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, it worked.
Right, because Rakesh's brother, he went to the mansion that day, found the note, and then, well, he found them.
Yeah. Inside, Tina and Ariana were found shot to death in their bedrooms. Rakesh was dead too, in the bathtub. He used a gun, an unregistered gun, by the way.
Oh, my God.
And it gets even more complicated. Yeah. Later on, investigators found out that, they found out that cell phones, laptops, even surveillance DVR box, all of it dumped in the backyard pond.
So we've got all this financial pressure, a possible motive with the life insurance thing, signs that this was planned out, even a staged crime scene. What happens next? Where does the investigation go?
Well, even without a perpetrator, someone to arrest,
Right.
a thorough investigation is super important. Remember those potential financial crimes we talked about?
Yeah.
Forgery, fraud, those are still relevant here.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with that life insurance payout. That's a lot of money.
Exactly. And that civil litigation, that adds a whole other level of complexity.
Right.
I mean, Rakesh's brother, the new beneficiary,
Right.
he's in a tough spot now. Tina's family, they're challenging the change to the policy, which is understandable. But what it means is investigators, they have to really dig into everything Rakesh did before the murders.
Yeah, I see.
They want to understand why. Why go to all that trouble to control the narrative, to stage how his family died? Was it guilt? Was he trying to save face, even in death? Or was it something else?
It's chilling to think that someone could be so obsessed with appearances that they'd go to those lengths. It's easy to get lost in all the details of a case like this,
Right.
But we can't forget about Tina and Ariana.
Of course.
They were victims. Their lives are cut way too short. And the fact that Rakesh, he went to such lengths to control everything, to make up stories, even in death.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It really shows you how strong that pull can be, that need for control, that need to look a certain way. I don't know, it almost seems like he was so focused on protecting himself, his image, that he robbed his wife and daughter of their own stories.
And this case really just highlights how dangerous that pressure can be,
Yeah.
To project this perfect life, especially in these wealthy communities where appearances are everything.
Absolutely. And it creates this impossible standard,
It does.
where if you ask for help, it means you're weak.
Right.
And it makes you think, what if Rakesh had talked to someone? What if he had felt like he could open up about his struggles?
It's possible.
Could this have been prevented? I don't know.
It's a question we'll never know the answer to, but it makes you realize how important it is to communicate,
Yeah.
especially in families. We may never know if Tina and Ariana, if they knew about the finances, but this case, it's a reminder that honesty matters.
Absolutely.
Even when it's hard,
Yeah. Because secrets and silence, they can be so isolating.
They can.
Creating a space where families can talk openly and honestly,
Yeah.
especially about money problems,
Yeah.
I think that's so important. It can really make a difference between feeling trapped and feeling supported.
Absolutely. So where does that leave us? It's a case without a trial, a crime with no justice, at least not in the traditional sense.
That's true. But the fact that we're still talking about it, the
Yeah.
fact that we still want to understand why it happened,
Right.
I think that says a lot. The investigation, the lawsuits about the life insurance, it shows that we need those answers.
We do.
Even when they're painful, even if they show us things we don't want to see about ourselves, about the world.
So for someone listening to all of this, what should they take away from this story? What can we learn from something as awful as this?
I think the biggest takeaway isn't about the Kamal family.
Right.
It's about what their story tells us about ourselves, about where we live, the people around us.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like this reminder to look beyond what you see, Because even the people who seem like they have it all figured out, they could be struggling silently.
That's a very sobering thought.
It is, but it's true. So as you're thinking about this case, just ask yourself, how can I be more aware? How can I be there for the people I care about? Because sometimes the most important conversations happen when we're just quietly reflecting and then doing something about it.
That's a really powerful message. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into this tragic case. But as always, this isn't the end of the conversation. Keep digging, keep asking the tough questions, and most importantly, look out for each other. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic that matters. Until then, take care.